Monastic life. Early in the morning, we went to the neighborhood village for the ordination ceremony. Following the head monk, I repeated the entire speech in Thai, was dressed in monastic robes, and given a food alms bowl. From the monks and nuns, I received some money in an envelope as an offering. The head monk said I was the first foreigner to ordain there. Everyone else comes to get married. We all laughed. A long-awaited expectation was fulfilled. At 33 years old, I had finally become a Buddhist monk. Nun Noi told me that during the ceremony she felt a strong presence of spiritual beings and her skin went goosebumps. I had a vision that I had been a monk many times in past lives. We were all very happy. The first days were incredibly good. All worries about the future, money and everything else fell away, which made me feel freer than ever before. In Thailand, monks are invited to people's homes when someone builds a new house, becomes a monk, passes away, or simply to create good karma and receive blessings. For the first time, I went with all the monks to a house visit. We sat in order to prepare mats, and a huge amount of food was placed in front of us. Everyone else sat on the floor across from us. Everything was done quietly, with smiles and a few questions for the teacher. During the prayers, I meditated, because I didn't know the long Thai chants. I was in a deeper meditation than most of the time on all previous meditation retreats. During the prayers, I felt a strong and pleasant energy of emptiness, peace and contentment. I repeatedly received inner insights from various knowledge. I remembered past stories that I would lose something by renunciation because I would no longer be able to have what I wanted and do what I wanted. But now I realized that all along with that I had lost all the worries and problems I had precisely because of that. I missed nothing. I desired nothing. Nothing in worldly life had given me what renunciation did. I recall the Buddha's teaching that the greatest satisfaction is found in renunciation. In the monastery, I saw that some monks had money, computers, cell phones, and one even had a car, which is considered not allowed. Some studied because the university was much cheaper for monks. After studying, they left monastic life and sought suitable work. All I had was a little money, and I didn't even want that. Ajahn Sun told me to keep the money for traveling and for food along the way. I had thought that all monks lived in strict renunciation and were devoted to meditation and the teachings, but I saw that this was far from true. Some monks asked me if I had a girlfriend. They wanted to talk about all kinds of things. Some wished to get married. One left monastic life and returned a few months later because the mind suggested it would be better outside. But then it turned out not to be true. In the monastery, a lot of construction was taking place, so monks worked every day. At that time, I saw all these things as distractions on the path to liberation, because I believed that the main thing for a monk was strict renunciation and a lot of meditation. In the evening, we had 1 hour of prayer, 1 hour of meditation, and 1 to 2 hours of listening to the teacher's teachings and stories in Thai. One evening I sat in meditation. The feeling of meditating in monk's robes was something special. I believed I had truly found the best thing for me. It was something perfect, far better than anything I had done before. Before I began meditating, I had never experienced such special spiritual states, so I missed nothing. At one ceremony from midnight to 3 in the morning, we repeated a short prayer to Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, and then meditated until the morning. The monks sat on the stage, while the nuns and lay people sat on the floor in front of us. Some lay people had already fallen asleep towards the end. I felt pain from sitting cross-legged for so long, but it helped me remain in an empty state the entire time. There was a strong spiritual energy, everyone's faces were radiant. Ajahn San wanted me to stay longer in the monastery and keep him company. He said I could help some people with English. Udom Sap accepted me as part of his family. All monks and nuns are ideally like a family, caring for one another with respect without harsh words or actions, yet free from attachment to one another. However, nothing is ever completely ideal. Udom Sap told me to let him know if I needed anything and that I could do whatever I found suitable in the monastery. Mostly we helped with building a new ordination hall. Some made Buddha statues, one watered the plants, everyone found something to do. From 6 to 10 in the evening we had prayer, meditation, and the teacher's talk. Afterwards some watched television, others meditated in their rooms or went to sleep. It would be a little strange to me to meditate all day while everyone else was doing something, so I helped with work. After a month I returned to teacher Samaki as arranged. When he saw me, he laughed and repeated, "A foreigner has been ordained." This was followed by the rainy retreat, which lasted 3 months, the only period when you must remain inside the monastery. I told him I wanted to go to Manga, as we had agreed to meditate there. However, he did not want me to go alone for the first rainy retreat, because I had just become a monk. I told him I had already meditated in the forest and caves, so there was no need to worry. I saw that he wanted me to learn from him and stay there with the other monks. He was little disappointed when I told him I didn't need a teacher or a large monastery with many people, and that I wanted to be more in solitude. I thought to myself, when I wasn't a monk, I meditated all day at retreats, and now I saw that monks meditate only a few hours a day, talk a lot, and perform various tasks throughout the day. This didn't interest me. I had never imagined monastic life like this, and I hadn't come to Thailand for that. For the first time, I saw that Samaki had supernatural powers. When I meditated next to him, I felt a great spiritual energy, which allowed me to rest in a luminous and focused mind without thoughts for a long time. Once I noticed that he knew exactly what mental image had appeared in my mind. The feeling that someone can read your mind is both fascinating and a little frightening. After a few days he allowed me to go to Manga, but sent 2 monks with me. We slept in a larger wooden kuti, which also had a meditation space and, if desired, a place to sleep. In the evening I meditated late into the night, and in the morning I got up early for 2 hours of meditation before going to collect food at dawn. Shortly before leaving we swept the leaves, then we dressed, which is really just a large piece of cloth that you wrap in a special way so it looks like clothing, covering you from the neck to the wrists and slightly above the ankles. The oldest monk in terms of years in the monastic life struck the bell 3 times with a wooden stick, making it resound throughout the village. The dogs howled loudly, were excited, ran around, licked our feet, and tried to get under the long rope. We walked barefoot in a line, one behind the other, with the dogs following us. Along the road, we stopped wherever people were waiting with food. As usual, they placed the food in our alms bowls. In unison, we recited a short prayer with a blessing. Small children pointed at me and shouted "Kola Kola," which means foreigner in their language. Many houses had chickens, pigs, and dogs. Our dogs ran after the chickens and fought with other dogs. When we returned, we ate peacefully, let a little food for a later meal, and give the rest to the dogs. This was the only obligation, and until the next morning we were free. In the forest, in wooden kutis, in sun and rain, day and night, in silence and the sounds of nature, with no obligations or problems with people or the outside world, I lived solely for meditation. I could not imagine anything better. Monk Tom missed teacher Samaki. I thought it wasn't good to be so attached to a teacher. Later I saw that he liked being around him because of Samaki's supernatural powers. He felt good being near him, learning to let go of thoughts. We got along very well. Tom had been ordained only a few days after me. He had previously been a teacher at school, like his sister and brother. Out of habit he occasionally taught me Thai, and I taught him English. Tom soon returned to Samaki. I remained alone with Panya, who liked to meditate, read Buddha's teachings, and occasionally fast. I inspected the kutis and chose the last one in the valley, in the middle of the forest. I began with water fasting for up to 5 days, staying in my kuti. I meditated in sitting and walking meditation. During the fasting days, there was no need to go for food, so I didn't see anyone. Then I ate for a few days and fasted again. Panya also fasted. Occasionally we met and shared meditation experiences. Later he also returned to Samaki just before the start of the rainy retreat. I was alone for a few days until monk Virat arrived and stayed for the rainy retreat. This was already his 7th year. Everyone in the village knew him well and was happy about his arrival. He spoke less English than I spoke Thai, only a few words. From the school teacher in the village, I got an English-Thai dictionary. I was learning quickly because it was necessary for occasional communication. Even without a common language, we understood each other quite well. Virat prayed for an hour every evening. He knew the prayers by heart. Ajahn San helped me write the main prayers in the English alphabet. They were still in Thai, but at least I could pronounce them. So in the evenings when it got dark, we prayed by candlelight in the quiet night and then meditated. Once a week was Buddha Day. Then people from the village came to offer food. They listened to teachings and meditated as taught by Virat. We sat on an elevated wooden platform with Buddha statues and offerings around us. Villagers sat below in front of us. A few times younger students from the school came as well. During the 3 months I fasted frequently and spent most of the time alone in meditation. It was a period when I chanted mantras and practiced various meditation techniques. Throughout this experience, I began to gain inner insights into different types of meditation. For Virat, it was harder to fast and easier to meditate with very little sleep. For me, it was the opposite. At the end of the retreat, we fasted and meditated through the entire night. After the rainy retreat, I spent a few weeks moving from one village to another, staying in each monastery for a couple of days. In the hilly, forested area, there were many small villages, each at least 5 kilometers apart. This way, I met many kind monks and discovered numerous small forest monasteries. In one village, only an elderly monk lived, who could not walk to collect food due to leg problems. Others brought it to him. One morning I went alone on the alms round, and somewhere along the way someone told me, "From here on this is a Christian part of the village. Don't go there because they won't give you anything." It felt strange as I had never experienced anything like that before. Near the Buddhist monastery there was a church, which from the outside looked like an ordinary house. They were holding a gathering, and there were many people around, but no one spoke to me. When I arrived in another village and asked where the monastery was, people behaved rather unfriendly. I saw a woman with child in front of the house. When I looked at her to ask a question, She went inside with the child and closed the door. This happened to me for the first time. It felt odd. Before that, people had always been smiling and friendly. Later I learned that I had entered the Christian part of the village, which explained the difference in their behavior. I then returned to Manga and soon went to visit Samaki for one of the ceremonies. There were many people, many introductions and conversations. The monastery was full. Samaki told me I could spend one night at his place. On the table he had a computer, and on the floor were Buddha statues and pictures of teachers with offerings placed before them. Everywhere else was empty space. The monks meditated, ate and slept on the floor. It was, as I had heard from others, every day from 6 in the evening to 6 in the morning he meditated. Some monks wanted to always be close to him. Samaki knew many people and everyone held him in high regard. Whenever I returned to his monastery, he wanted to buy me something good to eat, as they say, food for foreigners, even though I didn't care much about what I ate. A few times we went to a neighboring place at the invitation of his relatives, usually Samaki, Panya and Tom. A middle-aged Thai woman married to a Belgian ran a small restaurant in the house. They always prepared a lot of good food and offered some money. Several times we went on a day trip in an old off-road vehicle someone had given to Samaki. On the way we stopped for a lunch at his friend's place. I felt very comfortable in his company. Only then did I better understand that he appreciated my coming from so far away and renouncing everything. That is why he wanted to take care of everything for me and ensure I was in good company. He thought something could happen to me if I walked around alone. At that time I reflected, I did not become a monk to make friends and socialize daily, but to meditate in solitude for extended periods, as much as possible. I believe that only in this way could I progress on the spiritual path, as my main goal was to realize the truth of liberation. Coming from the rainy retreat, it was nice to see others and talk with them, but after 3 to 5 days I had enough of socializing and conversations. I wanted to go on a new retreat in solitude. For some time I had been inquiring about forest places where I could go for a longer retreat.